Good morning, Big Spring Middle School. It is Mrs. Grossman. Today is Thursday, the 31st of August, and it is day 3. We have a few announcements to get started here this morning. First, chorus lessons begin today. 7th and 8th graders, please take a minute here to note which class period you are going to Mrs. Shover. She will not be calling you to the band room, so it is your responsibility to remember. We also have an announcement this morning from the counseling office. The guidance counselors are going to start some support groups they wanted to make you aware of. Their topics are grief and loss and anxiety. If these are groups that you would be interested in, please stop in the guidance counseling office for more information, or you can send an email to your counselor. For the gold team, you would email Mrs. Falker, and her email address is there. And maroon team, you would email Mrs. Craig if you are interested. Today's the last day for the book fair. Hopefully everyone has had time to get in and check out the books that are there. Maybe you got some books last night during the open house, but today is your last day.
For anybody in the audience who's got a
And September is just around the corner. We begin the month this weekend. While we have a long weekend away from school, these students are celebrating birthdays this weekend. So happy birthday. And in recognition of September being just a day away, we are going to start our precept of the day again from the book 365 Days of Wonder. And we'll start with September 1st and pick up with the 5th when we come back to school on Tuesday. So September 1st, precept of the day. When given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind. Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. In honor of our Labor Day weekend, I decided to have a little fun during the second lunch yesterday with the 7th and 8th graders. Take a look.
I'm here in the cafeteria for our second lunch, and we're going to see if we can find some students to answer questions about Labor Day for us. Let's see how they do. Here is my first question for you. We have a 4-day weekend this weekend, right? Did you all know that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why we have a 4-day weekend this weekend?
Labor Day.
Okay, good. So can any of you tell me why we celebrate Labor Day?
Something like that. Isn't it about working?
Okay, so then why do we have off if it's about working?
A day off just to get a reward, like a rewarded day. I don't know. Just work.
We have a 4-day weekend this weekend, right? Do we know why?
It's Labor. I'm sorry, tournament. It's the Labor Day weekend tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, Labor Day.
It's
Labor Day. Good. And do you know why we celebrate Labor Day?
Not a clue.
Why do we celebrate Labor Day?
Should have asked him. He's smart. Why do we celebrate Labor Day? Eli, why do we celebrate Labor Day?
Why do we celebrate Labor Day?
For the people that work.
I have no idea why we celebrate Labor Day.
No idea. No.
Why do we celebrate Labor Day?
For the people who work.
So do you know why we celebrate Labor Day?
Come on, Frank.
Freedom. We love freedom.
Why do we celebrate Labor Day?
Because that's what. Excuse me. That's why. Because for the workers, these blue-collar workers in America who work, they need a day, and that's what Labor Day is. And we wear white on Labor Day, no other day.
Wait, we only wear white on Labor Day?
It's only right to wear white on Labor Day.
So I have a couple questions. questions for you. All right. We have a 4-day weekend this weekend. Why?
Because we got Labor Day.
And what is Labor Day? Why do we celebrate?
Because it's like the end of summer and, people don't have to work in summer, so I guess we don't work on Labor Day.
All right. Any idea why it became a holiday?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
No?
Abraham Lincoln.
What about him?
When he,
Died.
No! When he stopped the slavery.
Everyone could work, and the women didn't have to just stay home.
Any guess as to what year or what time period Labor Day became declared a holiday?
I have no idea, I don't know, maybe 1500, I don't know.
1862.
Hey, what did you say?
1947.
Okay.
1948.
All right.
Yeah.
1956.
All right.
That's too.
To what?
It's too early. No, wait, I don't know.
When we started celebrating Labor Day.
1952.
1952.
That was just a guess.
1740 is our guest over here. Anybody else? Would you say 1912?
1942.
All right. Do you think any other countries celebrate Labor Day, or is it just the United States?
Just us?
China, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, and Canada.
Taking it to the street.
Listen carefully to see if our students were correct in their responses about Labor Day. Maybe you'll learn a little something as well.
How's this for a strange idea? A day off from work in honor of work itself. Actually, that is what Labor Day, celebrated in the United States and Canada on the first Monday of every September, is all about. The first American Labor Day was celebrated in New York City on September 5, 1882, as thousands of workers and their families came to Union Square for a day in the park. It was not a national holiday, but had been organized by a union to honor workers and their hard efforts with a rare day of rest, halfway between July 4th and Thanksgiving. There were picnics and a parade, but there were also protests. The workers had gathered not just to rest and celebrate, but to demand fair wages, the end of child labor, and the right to organize into unions. During the period known as the Industrial Revolution, many jobs were difficult, dirty, and dangerous. People worked for 12 hours, 6 days a week, without fringe benefits such as vacations, health care, and pensions. And if you were young, chances are you were doing manual labor instead of your ABCs and fractions. Children as young as 10 worked in some of the most hazardous places like coal mines or factories filled with boiling vats or dangerous machines. Trying to win better pay, shorter hours, and safer conditions, workers had begun to form labor unions in America and Canada. But the companies they worked for often fought hard to keep unions out and to suppress strikes. At times, this led to violent battles between workers and business owners, with the owners often backed up by the police or even the military. In the following years, the idea of Labor Day caught on in America, with official celebrations reaching 30 states. But then came the violent Haymarket Square riot of 1886, which led to the deaths of several policemen and workers in Chicago and the execution of 4 union leaders. After that, many labor and political groups around the world had begun to mark Haymarket Square on May 1st, which became known as International Workers' Day. In 1894, President Grover Cleveland signed the law making Labor Day a federal holiday in America, only days after he had sent 12,000 soldiers to end a violent railroad strike that resulted in the death of several people. The original September date was kept, partly to avoid the more radical associations of May 1st. Canada also created its Labor Day in 1894. But in spite of this new holiday, it would be a long time before the changes that workers wanted became a reality. In 1938, during the Great Depression that left millions without jobs, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed a law calling for an 8-hour workday, a 5-day work week, and an end to child labor, some of the first federal protections for American workers. As America and Canada celebrate Labor Day, most of the two countries' children enjoy a day off from school. But it is important to remember that there was a time that every day was a Labor Day for children in America and Canada. And unfortunately, the same fact remains true for millions of children around the world today.
So now I challenge all of you to explain to someone over this long weekend why we celebrate Labor Day. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy your Friday and Monday off, and we'll see you back at school on Tuesday. Please stand for the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance